Boom! Pretty tired here. A few days of covering another crazy story. This time of the arrest of the drug lord Ismael Mayo Zambada. It's now Tuesday, 5 days following the arrest, and I want to go through some of what has really come out, some of what I've discovered, an investigation I've worked on with a colleague, and what else we know, and what is the closest to the truth we know right now about the arrest of Ismael Mayo Zambada. He's a legendary, mythical figure in the Mexican drug world. 76 years old, been involved in drug trafficking for more than half a century, and never been in a prison cell. Many people on the ground always saw him as being bigger, more powerful, more influential than El Chapo, although Chapo was more infamous at a world level. The lawyer of El Chapo, one of the lawyers of El Chapo, Eduardo Balareso, said to me out of court one time he believed that Mayo was the senior partner there. But he is 76 years old and had stepped out of a lot of daily operations of the drug business. According to a source, which I'll get onto later, much have passed to one of his sons, and he would still be involved in more high-level meetings. So this news broke on late Thursday about this arrest on an airport in Texas or in New Mexico, right near El Paso, of El Mayo, along with Joaquin Guzman Lopez, who was with him, was one of the sons of El Chapo. You know, there's needed explanations of what happened, how did this happen, how come suddenly a plane landed in the United States with El Mayo and El Chapo's son on board and taken into custody. There's two big ideas for explanations that came out. One, we could say the explanation of la traición, or the treachery, that El Mayo was betrayed by one of Chapo's sons, who handed him in to US authorities. And the other, we could call it El Pacto, that El Mayo, this great drug lord, handed himself in. You know, people, how this could such a powerful drug lord be treated? He must have handed himself in. So first of all, there was a version of the treason idea that was put out by US agents anonymously talking to various media outlets. And they said, El Chapo's son had got El Mayo to get on a plane to go and check out some clandestine runways, thinking he was going to be in Mexico, and he just landed in the US, and bang, he was arrested. They called up the Americans, said, got El Mayo with me, they arrested him. That was put out as a major explanation, a major news story. I'm smiling slightly because it leaves questions right away, I think. El Mayo's been in the game for more than 50 years. He's not going to be fooled that easily. Where was his security? And he's not really a guy who needs to go and check out runways anymore. He's been in the game, moved endless tons of drugs. He can simply, he'll go to high-level meetings, negotiation. He's still a big presence, but he doesn't need to just go and check out some runways. So various journalists are looking for a better explanation. And then we saw the idea, including by compa, Luis Chaparro, our great friend, looked particularly at the idea of there was a deal made. There must have been a deal made, and had a quote from one of the grandsons of El Mayo. Well, El Mayo's sick, so he wants to hand himself in. He wants to get out of the business. He still wants to see his sons who are in the United States, including Vicentillo Zambada, who was a witness against El Chapo. And so he wanted to hand himself in. But there's still questions about this idea of a pact. I mean, one of them is that really, in theory, when they're making deals with drug traffickers, is that you make deals with slightly lower ones to inform on the big bosses. Like you have Vicente Zambada himself, with a slightly lower one, he informed on El Chapo. And Ray Zambada, the brother of El Mayo, informed on El Chapo. But the big target was El Chapo. So, who's El Mayo going to inform on, unless you get him to inform on a former Mexican president or something of such high level. And another thing is his lawyer right away said no, he's not cooperating, and pleaded not guilty. So we were looking for more things, and I worked with my colleague Juan Alberto Cedillo, a great journalist from Mexico. We were looking at other cartel related sources of what they could say, and we got a very strong source. We got a couple of sources, particularly one very strong source that came through. Now, before we actually published that story, then the lawyer of El Mayo came out and said no, it had been a kidnapping. El Mayo was kidnapped and forcibly taken to the United States by armed guys, and that sounded like that's a bit more credible, and that chimed with the story we had. Now the story, please check it out. It's on www.crashoutmedia.com. Here's the link below to that particular story, or both stories I've written on the El Mayo detention there, and the rest of the stuff. Please check it out. And if you want to support our work, my work, check it out. There's a way you can subscribe there for all of the info about organized crime, drugs, psychedelia, and many other things. But this explanation we had, there was a source who was close to, had been close to security detail of Mayo before, was currently incarcerated, and spoke on condition of anonymity. It's a very difficult situation, and said that El Mayo has cancer, and had come down from his hideout in the mountains of Durango to Culiacan to see doctors about his cancer. While he was in Culiacan, an intermediary reached out to him and said, oh, you have a meeting with a politician called Héctor Melesio Cuen, and also with Joaquin Guzman Lopez, and we can discuss various things like the arrests of various people recently. There's been a lot of arrests of operators, of El Mayo and so forth, of tensions within the cartels, issues with the politicians and so forth. Melesio Cuen was meant to be a political operator who's kind of linked with cartels. El Mayo went to this meeting with a detail of 4 security guards in his vehicle, a car behind with what he calls the secretario, his assistant, with another bodyguard. The car with the secretario, and the assistant stopped to pick up some things. Mayo went in, and they were attacked. The security guards, his bodyguards, were taken. It's unclear if they're alive or dead, and El Mayo was taken. The other people outside, the security guard outside, the bodyguard outside, and the secretario survived, pulled up for instructions, kind of saw what was happening, and managed to escape, and they reported back this version of events. They also, the source we had also said they believe there was Americans present in this kidnapping, which is a big, controversial, spicy bit of information. Difficult to confirm that. They then took El Mayo, according to this version, to a clandestine runway in about 35 kilometers from Culiacan, and left from there to make the flight up. Possibly they could have stopped in Sonora or on the way, and then he was handed in to the authorities. Now, after we published this, and this is, following what the lawyer said, and this is picked up quite broadly, and then the federal agents also, who were originally at this first one, they may have managed to change their tune a bit and start saying, oh, actually, it wasn't just, we discovered there's a few more details there. There was some kind of violent kidnapping in Culiacan. So they started to confirm that version of events as well. I keep an open mind. These sources, I'd be cautious about what they say. This is what they say. This is reporting what they say. We have to be cautious. They might be, they might be lying about this as well, or wrong about some details. But it fits in as a credible explanation, and is now starting to become basically the idea of an armed kidnapping in Culiacan is the kind of becoming more like the main theory, with also some people still believing there was a pact. one reason that people still say there was a pact, there must have been a pact, is that there hasn't been a massive wave of violence in Culiacan, in Sinaloa, following this. There was the murder of this politician who was supposedly assigned to the meeting, Hector Melesio Quen. The state prosecutor saying it could have been a robbery. It seems very unlikely. It could well be connected. It was the same day as this supposed meeting, so it could have been some kind of revenge thing, although he might not have been in on this. They might have used his name to get Elmira to the place. But there hasn't been a wave of violence. But an explanation still could be, well, actually the narcos prepare themselves. If the Mayitos, the people around Mayo, were hit by this act of treason, act of treachery, they're not going to go straight away with the Chapitos waiting for them. They want to prepare, look for allies, prepare to hit back. And if you look at historic cases, such as the case in 2008, there's a drug trafficker called Mochomo, or Alfredo Beltran-Leyva, was handed in, supposedly by El Chapo, handed in to federal authorities, and his brother Arturo Beltran-Leyva wanted to have a big revenge, but he waited several months and then really planned it and hit very hard various targets. So they could be waiting, and the violence could still be to come. So just to end, what do we really know to conclude with this? I know some of you out there are going to be saying it's a pact. We know it's a pact. Mayo could never have handed him. It never been taken. I want to be open-minded. I'm just saying, well, this is what the evidence there. I think the evidence now is stronger, looking stronger for the armed kidnapping. I think if it was a pact and handed himself in, and this whole story about the Chapitos is a smokescreen, then the Chapitos are kind of going along with it as well, and they're kind of made to look bad in this, and they're going along with this. They haven't put out any denial. Let's see if they do. But I think the evidence is strongest right now for an armed kidnapping, a rendition. It's got big implications. Was it? Question: is it illegal for the US to do or work with a group doing an armed kidnapping? It might well be illegal, the armed kidnapping, but the agents say we had nothing to do with this. We didn't know about it. And however, he got it to the States. He's still in the United States, and now he has to answer for his crimes. Maybe he will make a deal now he's in the United States. Maybe the US won't want to put out this information. And the Mexican government is kind of being they're not being very demanding about answers right now. They're kind of a government of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador kind of accepting the US explanations that, we just didn't know about this, or this guy was just handed in. But these political connections could be uncomfortable for them as well. So there's reasons why information is being hidden. But it's a tangled web, and with the Mexican narco world, maybe the phrase is useful. If you know what's going on in the Mexican narco world, then you're wrong. So always be careful. Someone else could come out, but that's what I know in this story up to now. Thanks much for watching this video. If you like my work, if you want to know more about the world of drugs, crime, psychedelics, guerrillas, paramilitaries, and everything that I've been reporting on, immigration, human traffickers, sex traffickers, borders, money laundering, all of this, worlds that I'm into, psychedelics, wisdom, knowledge. When I know all about this, please go on to www.crashoutmedia.com. You can subscribe to free, get loads of stuff. It's good to see your numbers. And if you want to chip in with $5 a month, the price of a bottle of beer these days, then that's well appreciated, and you're a real star. All best and peace out.